Two Iraqis came here to this country, were radicalized.
For that terror attack overseas.
Total and complete shutdown of Muslims entering the United States.
First of all, we should develop detention centers for them.
Everywhere there is Islam, you'll find women oppressed.
Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Welcome to a super special edition of the where am I? Who knows what's going on around here? Let me try that one more time. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Welcome to a super special edition of Raw Islam with Imam Azhar. And we are currently waiting for Imam Azhar to join us. And what makes this so super special is that he is at a vigil in Tampa, Florida, and I am expecting him to ping us at any moment. Time. Do 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 do. Hey, there we go.
Assalamualaikum, Carl.
Wa alaikum salam. How are you, sir?
Alhamdulillah. So I can't hear you much. The rally's going on behind me. I just finished speaking 20 minutes ago, and they're just wrapping up before they start the march.
We are live online right now.
Okay.
I'm going to go ahead. Give me about 5 seconds, and we will we'll get you up and live on the screen.
What actually said was phenomenal. What she said was true. And as we get ready to segue into the open comment where people come up and speak their mind, I want you guys to be conscious of what we're talking about. We're talking about destroying systems of oppression. We're talking about freedom. We're talking about freedom fighters right here, right now. We're talking about everybody who needs freedom. We're not talking about let's get along and be along. So if you have that mentality, I will turn the mic over.
You are live, sir. Go. You are live. Go.
Assalamu alaikum, everybody. Welcome to this edition of Raw Islam with Imam Azhar. I'm here today in downtown Tampa, across from the county office. As you can see or hear behind me here, there's a lot of noise. And that is due to the fact that there is a stand-in rally going on, and there's going to be a march very soon in response to what happened in Virginia yesterday. Fellow listeners, this is a very sad time, not just in our nation, the world, where for some odd reason 2017 years after Jesus, 5,000 years after Moses, and who knows how many years since the beginning of time, we haven't understood how to get along with one another. It's a very sad state of affairs. And what it all goes down to isn't the differences of our religion or the differences of, what historical artifacts that one time symbolized power of people who down in the South felt that they will never forget the war for white supremacy and for the neo-Nazi mindset. I don't know if you could see right across from me here is the house, the county house. And that is one of the statues in our nation. This is actually the statue in our nation that people want to take down only because of the fact of what it stands for. So it was in protest of that statue yesterday in Virginia that resulted in the death of Heather and the injury of many more people. So Carl, today, as I'm here on the outskirts of this rally, emotions are raw, and I had an opportunity to speak in the beginning. My message was simple, and that was, we need a world of love. And there are two words in the English dictionary. They are 4 letters in number. They are small in size, but their impact is huge. It's large. And the ironic thing is both of them can never coexist. One is love, one is hate. It doesn't take a professional or a rocket scientist to tell you that hate is on the rise in our world today. Hate is on the rise not because hate is stronger or hate is better. It's because love has forgotten its power and its impact. Remember one thing, my fellow listeners, we're all different. This world is all about differences. Differences have existed from the beginning of time and they will continue to the end of time. How we acknowledge and perceive these differences is what makes or breaks our world. Our differences is a source of our strength, not our weakness. And this has to be re-educated, not via school systems or our government. Each and every one of us have to be instrumental in bringing about love by educating our families and communities of what diversity is and how we should be respectful of those differences. Carl?
No, and you're right that you are right that we need to be respectful of one another, and we need to be respectful of the different ways in life, because there are so many of us on this planet that you know, different color, different beliefs, different backgrounds, and we need to be able to live together, because that's the way it's supposed to be. You know, it's funny, I was actually talking to my wife last night, and I was saying that even that it's even in the Quran that, you know, I have made you into tribes, I have made you into nations so that you may know one another, you know?
Correct. And Allah made it very simple in that verse. He didn't have to make it complex. Look, Allah didn't make a mistake. Do we say God made a mistake by making us all different? Why did God not make one race, one color, one religion? Why did he have to make it different? Because it's part of our existence on this earth to cherish those differences and to respect those differences. So, you know, I want us to go back a bit. The rally is now starting to, they're giving time for people to voice themselves. As you can see here, we have Black Lives Matter. We have people against white supremacy, the alt-right. But you know what? There's one thing that was said here, Carl, which really hurt me, and I'll tell you what that was. It was like a call out on the cops and saying that they were not welcome here and how, you know, they're part of the problem. You know, if you have negative sentiments against, if someone has negative sentiments against you and you respond in kind with negative sentiments about someone else, what makes you better? What makes you better? I ask you a question. You're white, I'm brown. You hate me and I hate you in return. Where does it end, Carl? This is a question we have to understand. Where does this hate end? So when they made this call out on the police and how the police were not welcome and stuff, and they said if a person is not accepting of that, they could leave. I was one of the few that after a while just started walking away, because our country's fractioning. Our world is fractioning. Look at the recent elections that we've had across the world. It's all 49-51. There is an equal divide in our world. And how much are we going to fraction? Let's take all the colored people out. We got the white people left. Let's take all the liberals out. We got the conservatives left. Take all those who are pro-government and bring in anti-government. Where is it going to go down to, Carl? I want your input on this. I'm confused. I'm really confused.
Well, I mean, really, at the end of the day, it doesn't end well. I mean, there's only so much that we can do. I mean, and that's part of the reason why you and I do this show, is because we want to make sure that we that we understand each other. We want to grow the understanding so that we can grow our community, so that these kind of things don't happen. We want to make sure that people are understood, and that it's not all, you know, miscommunication and hatred and things like that, you know?
I understand. And the thing is, so you said something about respecting those differences, if I'm correct. It's very hard for me to hear you. But
yeah, no, that's what I said.
And we got things, but you tell me, how do you respect differences? I think that there has to be a course on this. There has to be some pointers. Respect is a word. How do you make it happen?
Through listening, through dialogue, through through just better understanding of each other.
Well, I'll tell you one thing, Carl, came to my mind while you're trying to pull it out. I respect that, listening to one another, understanding one another, dialogue, really good. Going out of your comfort zone. I think we've talked about this before.
We have.
You know, but there's nothing harmful in reminding ourselves we need to move outside our comfort zone. And these comfort zones are predominantly people who sing the same song that we do, they walk the same walk that we do. You know, that's good. It's good, you know, to keep your environment, your atmosphere. I was talking to someone day before yesterday about a topic that you and I wanted to discuss on this show, and that was based on a question of one of our listeners. If you recall, it was about, you know, Muslims need to leave America because, do you have it on you?
Yeah. No, well, I don't have the question on me, but the basic concept was just simply that Muslims shouldn't be in America because their lifestyle isn't compatible with the West.
Exactly. So basically, Muslims should leave America because they will never assimilate with American culture, and they're not going to be part of us, so they should leave.
Right.
Now, I was planning to have a discussion on culture, but of course this occurred yesterday, and this was tragic. And of course, as Raw Islam, we're not here as a news network, we're not Young Turks, or we're not AJ News, but what we are, people who try to bring Islamic perspective on things so that people can understand a framework. And when you have a void of framework, then it's dangerous because many things could go wrong. So when we talk about culture, various cultures, right? I'm going to talk about culture before we get back onto this. Culture is, differences of culture means solving problems together. In a corporate world, the culture is two people of different backgrounds have to work together. And everything that you and I do in our life is solving problems. Look right now, you're thirsty, right? So that's a problem. Is it a
Yes.
problem? I'm thirsty, it's a problem. What's the solution? I need to go find a bottle of water, open up, drink it. Because the solution to my problem is quenching my thirst. The only way I could quench my thirst is by locating water. In order to locate water, I need to make some effort. So this is what cultural is. Cultural differences mean that having the ability to see the differences and to work towards the same solution. So in corporate America, in a workplace, all of you get hungry at 12 o'clock, you all go have lunch, and the effort is in sync. No one starts throwing the tables up and down for food. Everyone goes to the same location to pick up food and do the same thing. So in a similar fashion, the culture of America is where we all could together work for the greater good of this nation. That's the solution to excel this nation. So when a person came around saying, thank you so much. When a person comes around saying, leave this country because you cannot assimilate into culture, I want that person, I want to thank him for his question. I thank you very much for asking that question, but I want you to please elaborate for our next show. Explain to me what is American culture. I want you to clearly define it where I will not find any confusion beyond what you write or what you tell us, because this is a question that many people cannot understand. This is about one nation under God, liberty and justice for all. This is about people coming together. This is about a nation that's built on the back of people who are immigrants. So to tell people now to leave and go home doesn't make sense. So going back to that point about the differences, the barrier is leave your comfort zone. Explore beyond your culture. That doesn't mean as a Muslim, if I go and explore beyond my religion and my people, that means I'm becoming an infidel or I'm becoming a Christian or I'm doing something wrong. No, it is imperative to do that. If that isn't part of Islam, then why did Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, waste his time by sending letters to the whole world and inviting delegates to come and listen to him and explain to them what he was about? Why did he do that for? He should have said, this is our Muslim empire, this is our caliphate, we're going to stake it out here, we're going to do our best. Sorry, 1 second. Hi, Lisa, how are you? Hi, Lisa.
Good, great job.
Thank you so much, Lisa. Thank you. See you. Bye-bye. That was Lisa Montolion. She was running for government in the last election. She is for city council. She was amazing. Very respectful of the cultures, always standing up for the Muslim community, not because she wanted the votes, but because she understood that Tampa cannot be a city until everyone is welcome. So that's the first thing. Education, Carl, is we need to move out of our cultural zones. That doesn't mean that you and I need to go meet a church and churches come meet a mosque. We need to somehow get a roadway into those people who hate us, right? I'm not gonna say just walk into rural America, into parts of Florida where they're gonna, pull their guns out on me and possibly shoot me. No, we're gonna make roadways in ways to them. and allow them to see in person what is this all about, because propaganda is being sold to them in front of their eyes on their TV sets in our absence. And if a person gives you an RB commercial every 15 minutes, 10 minutes on the show that you're watching, RB commercial comes on, but there's no RBs in your locality, what use is it? Is there use for that?
No, there's no use to it, because you when you do things, you have to make sure that you're targeting the right audience and the right group and things like that.
So even advertisement is targeted based on demographics, right? We're going to advertise a
Correct.
product when it's available in that demographic. We're not going to advertise something from Saudi Arabia here in our world today. So this is the first step I want to talk about today, is we need to break down those barriers and walls and reach out to each other. And we cannot do that, number two, by demonizing others. You cannot demonize others. By demonizing other people, all you're doing is playing into the same rhetoric that those people are playing with. They're saying we hate you, and we're saying we hate you too. So where's the solution? If the Prophet ﷺ acknowledging Quraysh's stance that they wanted to kill the Prophet, so let's go keep on killing them, it would have never ended. Makkah would have not been liberated. People would not have found prosperity and peace. I'm just giving an example of Islam because we're a Muslim organization, but there's so much more to it. Going back, Carl. You know, it's just so much to take in. But as you see the vigil ongoing right now, people are lighting up their candles, and they're coming together. They're going to be marching soon.
Actually, I hate to say it, but I think we lost. I think your video froze.
Okay. Are we still?
Yeah, we're still online and we're still going, but we've just been looking at your pretty still face for a moment or two.
Okay. So, Carl, let's go back to what happened in Virginia yesterday, because again, this was one of the signs of a response when the question that our listener asked isn't answered. When we cannot understand the other, we're going to go out to kill each other. So run us down, please, Carl. I've been speaking a lot. Run us down with what happened yesterday in Charlottesville, Virginia.
Yeah, so in Charlottesville yesterday, well, it started Friday night. What ended up happening was that on Friday night, the alt-right, the neo-Nazis, whatever you want to call them, they got together and they started doing they did a torch walk through downtown Charlotte.
Mm-hmm.
And
Charlottesville, yep.
You're right, Charlottesville. I don't know why I said Charlotte. But so after that, they
What are we doing on their attack?
so then
And after that, what they did was they came back out the next day to oppose a peaceful protest against what they did the night before, all because of what I showed you over there, a stone structure.
right.
A stone structure. Think about this, everyone. A stone structure. Someone was killed. Many other people were injured because of a stone structure. People are being killed because of symbols. You understand? This is exactly what the Taliban and ISIS did. They killed people because of elements that they didn't agree with. Their disagreements led them to kill. So again, this is a human problem. When we take our disagreements to the point that we will kill someone, there is a problem. I don't know how many times we're going to say this is a big problem. So what we have to do is, looking at what happened in Charlottesville, it shows that when we go beyond the tipping point, this is a catastrophic result. How many more vigils are we going to have, Carl? How many more sit-ins are we going to have? How many more lives are we going to mourn? This is a question everyone needs to ask. You know, I'm heterosexual, but that doesn't mean I'm homophobic. Does that make sense?
That makes complete sense.
I'm a Muslim, but that doesn't mean I'm anti-Jew.
Correct.
Right?
Correct.
You're Caucasian, but that doesn't mean you're racist. Right? What's
No.
happened is that there's these thick lines created in our country today. Either you're with us or against us. If you're not If you're not pro-gay rights, then that means you are homophobic, right? If you're not with the president, then you're unpatriotic. If you are not, you know, if you're not, what you call it, if you don't have any black friends, then that means you're, you know, you're racist. Carl, how can we solve this? What I'm speaking is many people who are listening, they'll agree with it. Yeah, these are problems, but how do we solve that? Because what happened in Charlottesville, a guy rammed in to people walking in the streets, and he killed a 32-year-old lady, Heather. Carl, tell us, what did you think when you saw that? Again, I'm asking you because your perspective is imperative. You're a Caucasian, convert, Muslim, American. You've been here longer than I have. You served our nation. You've served our military. Tell me what went through your mind when you saw that. And I'll give you my answer, let you think. What went through my mind was exactly back to 9/11 and what happened 9/11. For year after year, we saw those videos of those planes going into the towers. Yesterday, I saw with that car going into the masses, the people, it reminded me exactly of the hate that festered in 9/11. It's festering now in our own nation. That was outsiders, these are insiders. So Carl, tell us, what went through your mind?
Well, first off, I want to ask you on your phone if you have a button to like kill your camera and then turn it back on because your camera's froze.
Plenty of time to go neutralize.
Okay, and then...
Is that good?
Hey, there we go. There you are.
Thank you.
So for me, you know, really what ended up happening was I got scared, and I know that may sound silly, but I got scared in a long version because I didn't know I didn't know what the recoil was going to be. I didn't know who was going to come out. I didn't know what was going to follow. I didn't know what was going to happen. I didn't know, you know, does this escalate? Is that it? Are we done? What happens from here? And I felt like it was almost a falling apart of our society because, as you said, I did serve this country, but this isn't what I served this country for. I didn't serve this country so that people can go out and act a fool like this. I mean, I had, unfortunately for me, I had this conversation with a family member last night, which was just simply, what do these statues, what does that flag represent? It really has to go. I'm not talking about erasing history. I'm not talking about changing history. The history books are the history books, and we have to own what we did or what our ancestors did. But at the same time, it's over. Things have changed. We need to stop acting a fool, and that was my fear last night, is that is exactly what was going to happen.
And Carl, it's like, can you believe it's 2017?
No, I can't.
Are we reenacting every book that's written, and now we've gotten fed up of books and we're going back to historical texts and we're just mimicking them? Is that what's happening? What the Nazis did is not even 100 years old. What happened here in the Civil Rights Movement isn't even 100 years old. Why has this happened? You know, every person feels that you're going to close your eyes, just bunker down for a few days in your house, and it's going to get better. It's not going to get better, Carl. It's not going to get better. These things are fine. These things are great. You know, coming together and talking and sharing our solidarity with the families of those who have lost members, and, you know, to stand up against such hate. But there's an internal problem, and the internal problem is the mindset. Look what the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ said. I want to share this with you. This is amazing. The Prophet Muhammad ﷺ was given a mission, a task, to let humanity know about the existence of their Creator and their Lord. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Is that rocket science? It's very simple, right? You have to let people know. Now, how did he do it? He had to devise a model. He didn't just get up and just go start doing his work. When Gabriel came and informed him, he got his first revelation. There was a span of 3 months where revelation didn't come down. It's known as Fatratul Wahi, where the revelation ceased. So he had that time. Of course, you look into the tafsirs of the Quran and talk about how he started thinking, is it gone? Is it done? It's not happening anymore. But he had a time to devise a model. And he said these words, the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, "Ala inna fil jasadi la mudgha." Let it be known that in our bodies is a piece of flesh. If that flesh becomes good, the whole body becomes good. But if that flesh goes bad, the whole body goes bad, and that is the heart. So what he did, his strategy was not to work on the tables of these people and their food and their luxuries and their clothing and their needs and necessities. He went and looked at their heart, because if your heart understands the bigger picture, then these things are secondary. But when we make these things first, look, take our country back, we will never lose again, this country belongs to whites only. This is a problem with the heart. There's a void in the heart that has taken that's been existing, and darkness has now overpowered it. So the goal is, as I'm trying to say, Carl, I'm saying a lot of things, but the problem is in the heart. So look at this. Everyone's getting ready to go and march. We're going to walk down the streets, and everyone's going to hold their candles. But again, how many more are we going to do? How many more do we need?
We don't need any more. And to be 100% honest with you, straight out, we didn't need this one. And
how are you, sir?
What's going on, man? How you doing, man?
Not too bad. Nice to meet you. Thank you, sir.
Sorry, it's okay. It's all good. MashaAllah, you're a popular guy.
No. I just tried to stay away from the front. I did my stuff in the front. I just walked away. So we're just here trying to clean up a few things. You're welcome. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Which also, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls listening at home, is also an Islamic thing, because you're supposed to leave no trace.
The beautiful thing is, Carl, things change in life. Like, look at Golden State Warriors. They were not a good team, but they got the right people. They gelled. They won championship, another championship, and they may win more. Every day, everyone has their ups and downs, right?
Yes.
So today there's an uprising for the hate. Tomorrow there may be love. Tomorrow there'll be inclusion. Tomorrow there'll be respect. Tomorrow there's going to be understanding. Tomorrow there's going to be the respect for others. How is it going to come about? That's my question to you all and my listeners. How is it going to come about? The Prophet Muhammad ﷺ was taunted. The Prophet ﷺ was hurt. The Prophet ﷺ's tooth was broken in war. The Prophet's uncle was killed. The Prophet's companions were killed. This was a systematic of abuse. His team was the underdog at that time. But then the Muslims rose in numbers. The Muslims gained power and momentum. They gelled, and now they're going back to Mecca. They had the opportunity to totally wipe out the world. They could have wiped out the whole of Arabia Peninsula and finished it off. They would have put the name of Islam, and history wouldn't even remember what happened there, right? But he did exactly what he said to Gabriel, Angel Gabriel, when he came to him, when the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ was taunted and stoned by little children in Ta'if. And Gabriel came and said, Allah gives you greetings and says, "Oh Muhammad, if you want, we will crush Ta'if and we will finish it off and no one will remember its name." And Allah's Prophet ﷺ said, "Oh Allah, please forgive my people. They never understood me. It's my fault," he said. So now when he had the opportunity to have the upper hand, what did he do? He forgave them. The conquest of Makkah. I want everyone, Muslim or non, to go and read about it. Don't just Google it, find authentic source, but read how Makkah was conquest. He forgave. He protected everyone, including Hinda, the one who had ordered the killing of the uncle and mutilation of the body and chewed his liver. He forgave her. He forgave Abu Sufyan. He forgave anyone who was alive that were staunch enemies because he wanted to give them a chance. So today there's hate that's rampant. They're up there. Tomorrow love is going to come back, Carl. These are the days of ups and downs. The question is, how are you as an advocate or an activist of love and peace and togetherness and unity, the whole 9 yards, how are you going to bring it about? This isn't healthy when you say we denounce our cops and yes, there's alt-right. Do you agree with the alt-right, Carl?
No, I don't agree with the alt-right.
and I don't agree with them also. But Carl, what is the question is, when you see one, if you see them with an atom amount of hate in your heart because of the hate that they have, what makes you better? What makes you better? You have a drop of urine on your plate that you want food, and I have a bowl of urine on my soup bowl. What makes it different? Filth is filth. The Prophet Muhammad ﷺ taught us you need to remove that filth if you want to bring about goodness. If you want to have true peace, then you have to have true love in your heart. You cannot harbor hate, because by harboring hate, they're already doing that. They're doing it well, you know? They're demonstrating it well. They're indoctrinating the minds of people well, and they're changing society as we speak in the 21st century in 2017, well, they're doing it. They're creating fear and hate enough that person will put their life on the line and kill someone else and go and rot in jail for that. They're doing it well. But the question is, if you have the same level of hatred, what makes us better? What makes you and I better? What makes anyone better?
That no one is better than anyone else. I know it seems silly, but I hate that concept of, oh, I'm better than you because of my skin color, or I'm better than you because of how I believe, or I'm better than you because of how I dress, or it's none of that is right. Nobody's better than anybody else just because of something simple. You know what I mean?
Yep. And that's what the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ said.
Peace be.
That's what Allah said in the Quran. The best of you in the eyes of Allah is one who has more piety. Do you know how pious I am, Carl?
I don't know.
Do I know how pious you are?
No,
I don't.
no.
So who do we leave that to? We leave it to God. Because God said the best one is one who has piety, and only God knows whose piety is what. So you have no say. You have no voice. This is not your zone. In the second fashion, the Prophet ﷺ, until the last sermon he gave in Hajj, what he said, there is no Arab is better than a non-Arab, no non-Arab is better than an Arab, no white is better than a black, no black is better than white, except through the piety and fearing of God. And that's what Islam brought about. People who don't acknowledge Islam, accept Islam, practice Islam, I'm okay with that. It's none of my business. But the thing is, this is one of the teachings of Islam. Thank you so much. Take care. Thank you so much. This is one of the things Islam taught. You cannot judge others. And so, for me to be accepted by you, Carl, do I have to bleach myself?
No.
Do I have to bleach my skin to become white?
No.
Do I have to shave off my beard? No.
No.
The thing is, differences have always been differences. It's never going to change. So, you know, this is not a problem here in America. This is not a problem here in Virginia or in Florida or in different parts of the country. This is a global epidemic. This is a disease, as Sister Ida from CARE articulated very well. She goes, this is a disease. It's a disease that we're failing to acknowledge and address. So what we want to tell our listeners today in this special segment that we're having here in downtown Tampa, the rally is ongoing in front of me. The cops are everywhere trying to make sure that there's peace and order, as they should. This is a responsible thing that should happen. The question is, how are we going to stop the trend of killing and hates? You know, as a Muslim, as a person here in America, I feel it's my obligation, both as part of this country and as a human being, to devise a solution to stop the hate. Carl, I need your help on that today. I'm sure our listeners are listening. You know, this is becoming old news all the time, that we're constantly hearing the same old thing over and over again. Tell me, Carl, based on the lines that we just drew out today about the fact that you can't judge anyone, about the fact that no one is better than anyone else, about the fact that you cannot retaliate in kind with people in the manner that they do. Number 4, you cannot harbor malice and hate in your heart because someone has it towards you. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, never won with hate, nor did he start with hate. Rather, Allah said in the Quran, if you had a dark heart, a bad tongue, if you had a rough tongue and a dark heart, people would have left you. He knew for the sake of his mission, emotions cannot play into what we're supposed to do. So I'll say number 1, Carl, we need to stop following our emotions. We need to stop following our emotions. You know what? We have to cry. We have to vent out our frustration, but we cannot resort to emotions when others resort to their emotions. You tell me number 2, Carl.
And I'm going to be embarrassed because I wasn't fully paying attention because I was trying to make sure we had everything. But
my first solution was no emotions. Take your emotions out of this.
Right.
That's what the beauty of Islam is. You know, when you put your emotions aside, what do you follow? Islam gave me a guideline that I follow, and it's inclusive of the things that I'm trying to resolve today in our world. I'm trying to use those patterns, and when I fail, it's because I've left that system of options that are on my table. I try to devise my own options. So I said, number 1, for us to solve this is we have to take our emotions out of it. What's number 2?
Number 2 is come to an understanding with each other, listen to each other, communicate with each other, and try to understand the differences and appreciate the differences rather than fearing and hating the differences.
Okay, and let's throw number 3, something that you and I will put together. 3 points that we're trying to give to our listeners today. Again, for those who are tuning in late, this is Ra Islam, Imam Azhar, and Brother Carl. And this is an episode that we were planning to address 2 questions that one of our listeners, and we thank him from the bottom of my heart. I thank him for asking, and his question wasn't so much as a question as it was a concern. Go back home, leave this country, because you guys will never fit into the American society and the American culture. So for him, I've sent a question on the air today. I want him to please define for me what is American culture. And with that being said, we addressed, we had to go off topic because what happened in Charlottesville, Virginia yesterday, the murder of an innocent female who was attending a rally against the neo-Nazi fascism, racism that's happening in this country, and a person rammed her and many others, and she died. So a part of Raw Islam is that we try to bring forth solutions in the context of our faith, because when people say Islam, they feel it's like something on the side. It's actually a thorn in the path rather than part and parcel of the world that we all live in. So that's what Raw Islam is about. We talked about what happened there. We talked about the rise of fascism. We put together some pointers as to how this thing could be resolved. So we put together 2 points so far as a solution that we all need to implement. Number 1 is we have to put our emotions on a side. Number 2, as Brother Carl said, come together. And you know, Carl, let me throw in number 3 if you allow me to.
Go for it.
Huh? So
Go for
what
it.
I want to say while I'm showing you here, let me just show you all what's happening here. There's a sit in the middle of the just hear in for a second. There's a sit-in happening here in the intersection on Franklin and Kennedy, East Kennedy here in downtown Tampa. Usually a busy place. University of Tampa is not too far up, but this is a Sunday, of course, so it's it's quiet. So Carl, I hope the listeners and people who are watching live stream are seeing that. I'm going to start walking away from the rally. So Carl, the third point I have is, you know, as people say, there's these walls forming, and there are walls forming, man-made, and also due to the time that we have away from each other as different people. I want us to break down all the walls. I want us to destroy all those barriers, and I want us to burn those bridges. Because what's the purpose of a bridge, Carl? Tell me, what's the purpose of a bridge?
A bridge's purpose is to gap something and to bring 2 people or 2 sides, or to if you've got something that is a distance apart, it is to bring them closer together.
Exactly. So Carl gave us the best definition that we can to bridge 2 sides and bring them together, but with the acknowledgement that something exists in between. Correct?
Correct.
So if there is land, like for example, this road here and that road there, do we need a bridge for that? No, because nothing exists in between the two. It's a continuation. So what human beings need to do this week, starting from tomorrow, reach out to someone you don't know, someone you don't speak to, and bridge that divide by burning down the bridges of, you know what, let me just acknowledge his presence and just let it be. Let me just ignore him, but in a distance, stay 20 feet away from me. Burn down those bridges. Burn down those bridges and come in close proximity that nothing should exist between you and him. That doesn't mean you have to become best friends. That doesn't mean you have to go off to coffee together or go to a party together on Saturday night. It means that you're going to acknowledge each other. Acknowledgement is missing. We forgot to acknowledge the differences. In such a swift-paced world, we're so stuck on our phones, we forget to see the different religions and cultures around us on a day-to-day basis when we commute to work and we come back. So what we have to do is, Carl, burn down the bridges also and remove that which exists in between the two, only to ensure that we are... Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you. So that's the third point, Carl, that I'll give. And with that, I think, you know, I'd love to give you some words now.
Well, I honestly don't know what words I have to offer, because it's a lot of this is overwhelming. it's you know, there was a Twitter thread that I became involved with yesterday, just and I was just being a jerk because that's what I do occasionally. I'm, you know, a funny jerk, not a mean jerk. But what ended up happening was, you know, somebody posted, "Oh, hey, I went to bed and it was 2017. I woke up and it was 1945." And then somebody replied to that and said, "No, the war ended in 1942 or 43. You woke up in 1939." And
Wow.
And you know, it's really it's amazing, and it's difficult, and it's difficult for me that it's difficult for me that we are carrying this conversation in 2017. In 2017, there is no reason for any of us to be carrying this conversation. There is no reason that we shouldn't have, you know, equality and understanding across the board. It's just people being stupid, essentially. People are blocking. People are causing problems, and it's a matter of stopping that and appreciating what's going on. Appreciate your neighbor. Act like a human. Don't act like a fool.
Well, Carl, I'll tell you why it's imperative. No, Carl, I'll tell you why it's imperative to talk about 1939, 1945, and the law. You know why it's important? Because many of the people who are standing with the likes of Adolf Hitler and the Nazi regime don't even, I feel, they don't even know what it stands for. They don't even know their history. You know, it's a crime. You'll be in jail in Europe if you deny the Holocaust. It's a crime.
Yeah.
You cannot deny the Holocaust. Why? Because they know what Holocaust did to their country and the countries around them. You cannot deny the Holocaust. And how is it here that, just say for example, Carl, we're on air, so we got the whole part, no one could cut and snip it tomorrow. Say tomorrow you and I start idolizing Abu Bakr Baghdadi, Osama bin Laden, and the Taliban, and we're going to do their salutes, and we're going to talk their talk, and we're going to walk their walk, we're going to hold their flags on our car. What's going to happen? The world is going to rain down their arms on us and kill us. Why? Because how can you even say the name of these monsters who've done such bad things in the name of a religion and they've harmed people? What did Adolf Hitler do? How can you do his salute? How can you stand behind him? How can you chant his chant? A guy in Charlottesville, Virginia was wearing a shirt that had a coat of Adolf Hitler on the back of him. Like, how can
I saw that.
How can we do that? Guys, wake up. Everyone wake up. Ask yourself, how can you promote? I dare anyone to go outside right now if they have the tape and write down what Osama bin Laden said. Everyone's going to beat you up. The thing is, because they know it. The history isn't old. It happened in this generation. Everyone knows it. But what happened in Virginia, I'm confident. Oh, sorry, what happened back in Germany, I feel. I don't say I'm confident. I feel these people don't even know their history. They don't even know. It's just keywords. It's catchphrases. Take your country back. Whites only, right? You know.
Okay, wait. Because that's one of those phrases that gets up under my skin. Take your country back. Take your country back from what? From who? From where? What is your malfunction? You're still here, and it goes, oh well, people are taking our jobs. Who is taking your job? Do you want to go? Do you want to go be a migrant farmer? Is that your life dream? Is that what you're sad about, that you can't do that? Who take your country back from what?
Well, let's dissect that, Carl. Take our country back from those people taking our jobs. Whoever took your jobs in the farms or in the fields, these are the big corporate companies that that the economy is supporting. These are not masses. These are the 1%, as Bernie Sanders always talk about, the top of the 1%. These are people who are taking away your jobs, not foreigners. Foreigners are actually helping you harvest those crops and selling them into the store so that you can make some money. What else is there? Take your country back from what is your question? Take your country back is a fear slogan. It's a statement. Carl, when they had the Brexit in England, we talked about it many episodes ago. When they had the Brexit in England, it was the same the same words were being expressed, same slogans. Take your country back. And when the vote was casted and England opted to get out of Europe, the most Googled word that day was, what is Brexit? They didn't even know what Brexit meant. They never knew what its application would be on them and how it would affect them. Just take your country back. or get out of Brexit because Europe is eating up our money. This is a point, Carl. Education has to start again. We need to educate ourselves on the diversity and the differences, and we have to teach our children to respect that. And the way that can happen is real conversation from the pews, from the pulpits to the pews, from the dining tables to the schools. This has to start. It has to happen now.
So I'm actually just going to read I think she left us, but I just want to let you know that we did get a comment on Facebook here. Samara said, "Inshallah, people start understanding and loving each other and stop hating one another."
Inshallah is a great word. It's a great intention in Islam. For those who don't speak Arabic or don't know the terminologies, Inshallah is an Arabic word which means if God wills, and we use that in optimism. In Islam, it teaches us to be optimistic, not pessimistic. So we say Inshallah, that we hope for this, but at the same token, hope requires effort. Inshallah, as you know, Carl, it's a very easily used word, right? Inshallah, Carl, don't worry, Inshallah, Carl, get it done. Inshallah comes with a sense of resolve and also efforts behind it to make it happen. So, yes, Inshallah, things are going to get better, but Inshallah, I need to start that work first. It goes down to this. If anyone here listening to, I'm going to sit down here on the grass. I am tired. But if anyone here feels that it's going to happen and I don't have to do anything for it to happen, you fooled yourself. You're actually contributing towards the ruining of the world, because hate isn't powerful, as I said before. Hate has only gained momentum because love has lost its track. And that love comes from you and your circle. There's so many people in your circle that no one will ever be able to meet. And you're instrumental in that circle. Maybe your customer base, your classmates, or your neighbor.
So I actually want to read you, you don't know this because you're not watching, but we actually have a live Twitter feed tonight at the bottom of the screen.
Okay.
And one just came across that I want to read because it's actually really pertinent. And I'm going to edit it because I don't quite agree with their wording, but but you'll see. Is that hatred is cowardice, admitting that you are too lazy to learn something about someone different.
What do you think about that?
I think that's pretty spot on, because it is. It's because it's easier to Google what's that word? I always pronounce it wrong. The taquitos there. It's easier to Google that and see taquilla. It's easier to Google taquilla and see what it says and what Google says, Sheikh Google, and to see what's up there and to see what non-Muslims have said and take that as gospel than it is to open your door, walk across the street, walk down to the mosque, and physically get to know a Muslim and physically get to understand and know a Muslim, know your neighbors. It's easier to Google.
You're right. You're right. And I thank Sheikh Umar Suleiman shout out to Umar Suleiman, because he addressed this a beautifully written article on the fact that how Google is misleading when it comes to Islam. When you type in what is Islam, many of the things that come up in the hit searches in the first page and second page is all un-Islamic. It's all bashing Islam, or it's like, the propaganda that's being spread in the name of Islam. I don't think so much about it being about learning. A person is learning. They're sitting in front of news. I'll call it out, Fox News. They're sitting in front of Fox News. They're being indoctrinated. They're learning. The thing is, they're too lazy not to learn. They're too lazy to question what they're being told. They're learning because I'm telling you something, right? But they're not going to validify or verify it, right? They're not going to see the beef in what is being said. What's the substance? Let me feel it. Let me see it. If we're saying Muslims are here to kill the country and all these burqas are coming up, go to South Beach and see how many burqas are on South Beach. Go and see it. How many people wielding knives and swords with takbir and Allahu Akbar are coming to change out? Go see it. Let's talk about the reality on the ground. Yes, there may be people. I'm not going to deny. I'm not going to deny the fact that there are people who want these type of changes, but that's not the mass majority, because we talked about this many times, Carl. The number of Muslims in this world is almost 1/5 of the population, right?
Yeah.
And if Islam was about this, you should have seen it by now. Why hasn't Islam conquered the cities and went into rural areas of America? Why have we converted the Smoky Mountains into Salat Mountains? You know, why have we converted Lake Tahoe into wudu area? Come on, let's talk realistic. So I could be told whatever someone wants to tell me. That's fine. I need to go then if it will change my thinking, if it will change my perception, it will change my ideas of people. I need to go verify that. If it's like, for someone tells me, for example, this statue is not metal, it's plastic, fine, good for it. I don't care about that statue. Yeah, but if it has something to do with me, and if it means something to me, I'm going to go and touch it, and I'm going to go feel it, and I'm going to go do some research. Is that what it is? But you have to
not be lazy.
Verify what you're being told.
Right. Yeah. Do your research. Get to know people. Get to know those around you. I mean, it really, if we spend all our time in our own little boxes and in our own little silos and in our own little universes, we never expand. We never get to learn more. And when somebody says, "Oh," you know, one of the things that this really always bugged me, but part of the Nazi, and I mean everything about the Nazis should bug everyone always, but part of the propaganda that the Nazis used was that the Jews ate babies. That was their propaganda.
Wow.
And
They ate?
Yes, eat.
Wow.
And
okay.
For me, it was like, that's dumb. At what point do you sit on your couch and you go, yeah, that sounds completely logical and completely correct. I totally believe that. How lazy and stupid are you just to accept that kind of degradation?
Well, I'll tell you how lazy a person could become. When education was given for free in this country, and the education system has been turned to everything else but education, this is a result. Remember, education is the weapon through which you can change the world. Madiba said this. Madiba, i.e. Nelson Mandela, the late. And when education has taken on a different face in this country, where people are, to some degree, a great percentage of people are illiterate. Many haven't finished high school. Many don't have a degree in college or university. It goes to show that how knowledge has changed its face. Yes, we have we have a virtual world that we feed off of to gain knowledge and understanding. We have Google and Bing and the likes, but one thing we shouldn't forget, personal interactions is the best source of learning. Why? Because when you continuously meet with people, you enrich yourself with knowledge that all your senses come to play. Your ears are hearing, your eyes are seeing. You can smell the person, you can smell their perfume, and you can literally you feel them. You're shaking their hands, and you're touching their shoulder and saying thank you. It's the most greatest experience of connection with people. Don't let this virtual world take us away from connection with people, because it's enough to vie one against the other, and it's down from there. You know, Carl, I'm here by this statue as we were talking. I don't know if I can flip my camera around. Yeah. I'm hoping I can.
Oh, there you go. Perfect.
This is a statue that here in Tampa also, I was told, I wasn't in town when this happened. There was a meeting here with clergy members in front of the Hillsborough County House. I don't know if it's a courthouse or if it's a county house, but it's a very large building. And this is one of the many statues which are here, are found in other parts of the country. And they want to take this one down also. And, I just want to show you the words here, Carl. It says here, united in the past, one in the future. Now, Carl, this is very dark words, because, it means that we may have failed in the past, but we're going to continue in the future, and we're going to continue to fight to become one. There is more words written here. I'm not even going to go to read them, but just look at the response from the people. Make racists afraid again. Educate them is what I'd say. White supremacy is terrorism. I agree with that. I will build statues of love, not hate. I agree with that. No Trump, no KKK, no fascist USA, no Nazis. We want none of this in our world. It's not about America. America, yes, because we're a leading country, the world looks up to us, but our world cannot have it. And here is a soldier. This is from 1865, Carl. This is up there, 1865. This is a picture. This is a statue of a soldier who's walking home, upset because of the loss. And it says here, lest we forget. Lest we forget what? Lest we forget that we lost, but we're going to come back and we're going to win again. So, again, these are statues that may at one time have been in agreement with those in the South, and they may have felt that this was, what defines us and what makes us American. But in those days, never had those lines of communication from the North and the West and the East. We have communication in the whole world in our pocket now. We can see the world live and we can follow it. This is not the world we live in anymore. That was a level of ignorance. Please, let's not go back into that level of ignorance. This is across the board. I'm addressing here tonight the fascism, the white supremacy, the superiority complex, both in the Caucasian community. We're talking about in the Muslim community. We're talking about in every other religious community, in the African American community. We're talking about this in everywhere because all of us are victim of this in different ways. Yes, this is one problem, but there are many other smaller problems that lie within us. So with that, Carl, I'm going to go, inshallah, pray Maghrib and then set off to home. Let's go with our closing words here, Carl. What's your thoughts tonight?
Well, ladies and gentlemen, for those that joined us online, I want to say thank you. It's always nice seeing people viewing online. It's always nice to have the comments. Thank you, Samara, for your lovely comment. And Imam Azhar, thank you for going out there tonight and for speaking and for broadcasting live. It really is important to see these things and to understand. But really, at the end of the day, this all comes down to the simple fact of get to know your neighbor, get to know one another, go outside. Don't Google stupid things. Why do Latin people eat so much rice? Go next door, talk to them. Google doesn't have the answers. Google is actually not a sheikh. I joke about it, Sheikh Google, but he's not. It's rigged. It's best just to go and talk to someone. And, as we've talked about before, as a veteran, as a Caucasian, as an American, and I think we did the math out, and I'm second or third generation American. This isn't my America. This isn't what this kind of separation is not what I joined the military to defend. And you know what? And I'm going to say this, and I'm going to put it on record, because this is a true fact, at least from my experience. When I served in the military, the Caucasians were the minority. Wow. So that means, at least from my experience, that these people are complaining that they want their country back, that they want their whatever back. But it's these minorities, and maybe they're not even minorities, it's these other cultures that are out there defending America while they're here at home doing this kind of trash. And that's my final word for tonight.
And Carl, I'll finish with one thing because it came up in my mind based on what you were talking about. If you tonight don't know the difference between Chinese and Vietnamese and Taiwanese and Japanese, don't Google it. If you don't know that Chinese speak Mandarin and not Chinese, if you don't know that Chinese food is different than sushi than it is from Thai food, it just goes to show that it's not anything wrong that you don't know. I was a victim of that once. I thought all Chinese food was Chinese food. All people who looked Asian were Chinese. No, there's so many countries. There's people in Nepal who look like Chinese. People in the regions of Uzbekistan and Tajikistan and Kazakhstan that also look like Chinese and Asians. But education is reaching out. I miss those days, Carl, when we used to go to the library and pull out those long drawers of cards and go through them alphabetically to find a book and then go search for it on the shelf. When we did that, we learned and we remembered. We we held on to that knowledge in our mind. By Googling something, it's not going to change it. And by just living by what you think is not going to change. I end with a verse of the Quran, which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran many times, Inna wajadna aba'ana ala ummatin. We found our forefathers doing this, so that's why we're going to follow them. That's not an excuse. That's not knowledge. Knowledge is about the here and the now, in the zone that you live, in the world that you live. Your parents and forefathers did something great. Maybe they did it in context to what they understood at a time that they lived or a time that their parents lived. It's not applicable now. If you cannot use Windows 98 or Windows XP in the year of 2017, it goes to show that doesn't mean that Windows is gone. It means that that version is no longer applicable in the world that it applies to. So in the same fashion, stop living in these zones. Please reach out, and I reach out to those who may be listening with the intent to put us down, or they want to point something out and they hate Muslims and Islam. I thank you for listening also. I thank you for giving your ears the opportunity to listen to something different. I am ready to believe and accept that you're not going to agree with maybe some or all of what I'm saying, and that's totally fine, but you gave yourself enough time to listen to something different. May that different allow you to think differently. Thank you very much, Carl.
Ameen. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, we will wrap up a very special live edition of Raw Islam with Imam Azhar. Imam Azhar, thank you for coming to us live from Tampa tonight from the Charlottesville vigil. And I also just want to say to all our listeners and to all our fans, for as long as this may exist on the internet, thank you all so much for helping us get nominated in our first year for a podcast award. That is outstanding.
Carl, I want to thank you on the air. I want this to be on record also. Everyone, please thank Carl for the tremendous work he did to bring up the idea with his friend that there should be a podcast. We named it Raw Islam. We started on this humble journey 23 weeks ago. 23 weeks of recordings. And alhamdulillah, we were officially nominated. We praise the Lord. We were officially nominated for an award. And that was due to your continuous contribution of your time, sharing it with your friends, and even voting for us when we spread it on Facebook and other social media outlets. We truly thank you. Again, as I told Carl on my way down here this evening, we spoke briefly. It's not about us. It's not about, the podcast. It's about the greater good that we're trying to accomplish. We're not experts here in everything. We're not Googlers. We're not people who have the mind or brain as Google may have, or the grasp and reach that it has. But we believe that we can articulate and start up a conversation of what we see happening in our world, good or bad. And we hope by sparking dialogue and discussion, we get others involved that can ultimately help change a world for better by acknowledging and not ignoring problems, by addressing those problems so that we can then better the stance of humanity. So thank you very much, Carl. May Allah bless you and your family for all that you've done thus far. Thank you.
Thank you. But thank you for taking the time. Thank you for blowing through your battery tonight while you've been down there. Go find a charger.
I'm going to do that now.
So with that, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, this brings this special episode of Raw Islam to a close. Make sure you stay tuned. Make sure you like this page. Make sure you follow us, because we got some live episodes coming up this week and in the future that are going to be amazing. But we're not going to tell you because it's a teaser.
It's a secret.
So until next time, ladies and gentlemen, we will say Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum.